This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, profession advice. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or management. This podcast may contain adult themes, so parental discretion is advised. Welcome to the Modern Titus 2 Woman Unplugged podcast. Our podcast is one where we fearlessly dive into the unspoken struggles that shape the lives of women today. As part of our mentoring role, we seek resources and support designed to help women thrive. We explore strategies for achieving optimal well-being and performance in every aspect of our life. Today's episode, we have an incredible, inspired guest joining us. Carrie Washington is a survivor of suicide from 5 years ago, and since then she has dedicated her life to empowering and coaching others on their healing journey. She's here today to share her powerful story, insights, and experience with us. We are also thrilled to announce our upcoming best-selling book, Healing Out Loud, which will be available soon. So get ready for some truly transformative content as we welcome Carrie Washington to the Modern Titus 2 Woman Unplugged podcast. So welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And if I pronounce your name incorrectly, please feel free to correct.
It's Kiana
Kiana.
Shatteen.
Okay. All right. Oh, I thought it was Washington. Because you're,
No, I go by my first and middle name, Kiana Shatteen. Washington is just my maiden name, but I prefer to just go by my first and middle name. It's just
okay.
what I had to put on Facebook to have Meta verify my account. That was
Oh,
all.
okay. Because that's
Yeah.
where I got the information from. So, when I look at you, I see a beautiful, beautiful educated woman, young, with the whole, have your whole life ahead of you. So my question to you this morning, today is why? Why would you want to commit suicide? Why?
Great question. And I know that's the question everybody asks whenever you hear the story of someone dying by suicide is why. And for me, it was because I was resisting change and I was afraid of change. And it was the fear that had me stuck as if I was a victim of
Mm-hmm.
my circumstances. When I had my attempt 5 years ago, I was going through separation from my husband, was my husband. We're divorced now, so I refer to him as husband. And I was afraid. I didn't want to be with him, but I also didn't want to leave the house that we had built together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid of being alone and on my own and having to start over because for me, that's a trigger when I feel that people are leaving me, when I feel abandoned. Like most children, my inner child was crying out because as children, as babies, the two things we fear the most is the fear of loud noises and the fear of being alone. And so for me, that was my trigger. My inner child was being triggered, and life just felt like it was just too much. Going through the separation, going to work every day, trying to navigate life as a woman and as a mother and as a wife who is conflicted. I didn't know what to do or exactly how to tell people what I was feeling. And I knew that
Mm-hmm.
I was having mental health issues because I had battled with depression since I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
However, I had never felt anything this heavy before. And when you're in that state of mind, depression has you believing that your thoughts are correct. So my thoughts kept telling me that dying is just much easier than living. So that was my why. That's why I felt like I had to because I felt alone and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to tell anyone and I didn't even know how or what help looked like because I had a therapist, but I waited too late.
Mm-hmm.
to start my healing journey. So by the time I got the therapist, the thoughts of suicide were already there. And as you'll find out in my book, Healing Out Loud, there were so many circumstances that led up to the pivotal moment of me having my attempt.
Mm-hmm. You, you, you said that you have a son, correct?
I do.
So when you were going through all of that, what was the mental thing, you know, when you thought about your son? Wasn't he motivating enough for you to stay, to say, I want to live, even if it's nothing else but for him?
So when I was going through it and I was in the darkest moments of my depression, there was nothing in my brain that said me being in my son's life was going to make a difference, because my mind told me that his life was going to be better without me, because I was failing him as a mother, because I was failing his father and failing myself and failing the world, because that's the story that I was telling myself. So at the
Mm-hmm.
time, no, my brain thought that he would be better off not having me in his life. And that just shows you how heavy it can get, how dark it can
Mm-hmm.
get for someone who's battling with demons in their head, because
Yeah.
thoughts can seem so true, but that's not necessarily true. The thoughts are just a reaction to the emotions that we're trying to suppress. And the resistance is what was causing so much chaos inside of me, as opposed to just accepting the fact that this marriage is over. It's time for
Mm-hmm.
me to move on. It's time for me to close this chapter and start a new one. But I didn't know what that looked like. So the fear of change, like most, is terrifying. The fear of the unknown is not something that many are willing to embrace. And that was
Mm-hmm.
definitely an issue for me.
Why I asked you this question was that persons who I've spoken to whose parents, parents have committed suicide, they always feel or say that, why wasn't I good enough? Didn't the person love me? I mean, why would the person want to leave me here? Wasn't I important enough? So that's why I asked you that question, because I've
No,
heard
that's
people say,
mm-hmm,
the parents commit suicide and they're lost. They just say, they don't know why somebody would want to leave them. You carry this child for 9 months,
mm-hmm.
so
Great question.
yeah.
And I think the thing is what we are failing to see is when someone is in that state of mind, they're not thinking about anyone
Mhm.
else, because when you're not well and when the heart is conflicted, the brain is going to be conflicted. And the brain is going to tell you that you're the worst person in the world. So
Mhm.
in my
Mhm.
mind, I thought that me not being in his life was going to be a benefit to him. It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
about what I was going to do to him or what anybody else's life was going to be like without me
Mhm.
in it. Because
Yeah.
to me, the story in my head is I know their life is going to be way better without
Mhm.
me in it. Because when you're in depression, you play the victim story and
Mhm.
everything becomes about you and your ego. It's all about you and you're the bad guy and you should do this and you did this. And I was carrying on so much, holding on to so
Mhm.
much guilt, that my unhealed mind, my inner child just said, I just want to escape. Realistically, what it was is my inner child just wanted to be parented, but my parents are deceased. So I
Mhm.
felt like I can only get it is I have to just join them. I have to just
Mhm.
leave because I don't know how to do this on my own. My husband is leaving. I don't have parents. I don't have siblings. And my
Mhm.
son, I don't have anything to give him, because
Mhm.
the story I was telling myself is I've been a bad mother his entire life.
Mhm.
Again, when you're in that state of mind, you can't see the good in everything and all the blessings that you
Mhm.
have, your son, the fact that you do have a husband and it will be an ex, but it was still a story, and we can celebrate the lessons that we learned in that situation and move on. But
Mhm.
then I didn't see that. It took a lot of work. And that's what Healing Out Loud is about. It's about
Mhm.
the journey, because it's not easy. And it's also about a mindset shift. It has to be a deeper,
Mhm.
deeper process than just talk therapy and medication. And that's what my book talks about. It's a holistic thing. It's the mind, body, and soul, and most importantly, being connected to spirit.
Mhm. That was a segue into the other question was what inspired you to write Healing Out Loud. So if you could, I know you gave us a little, two little crumbs, but if you want to expand that a little bit first, that'd be great.
So, what inspired me to write Healing Out Loud? I am a member of a 12-step program called Emotions Anonymous, and it's similar
Mhm.
to AA, but
Mhm.
it's for people that feel powerless to their emotions. And so, when I
Mhm.
was going through my healing process,
Mhm.
I joined the program, and when I completed the steps, I started sharing my story in meetings. And
Mhm.
then I started writing about it. And the more I started sharing, the more support I received from the other members, the more I started feeling empowered to see that my story was changing people. And then when I turned 40 in October, I got the call from God that said, it's time for you to write this story. It's time for you to share your story with the world to
Mhm.
heal and help other people, because there are others that are going through the exact same things that I went through. And they are also wondering, where do I go? How do I navigate this? How do I be vulnerable enough to say I'm not okay? And I don't know if I want to be alive to that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why I wrote the book, to honor those that we have lost and to help those that are still suffering in silence to know that it's okay. You don't have to
Mhm.
suffer in silence. I'm with you. I've been there, and I'm here to show you that life is so wonderful. There's so many reasons to live, and I know that for sure now. That's why I
Mhm.
went through this journey 5 years ago.
Mhm. So you are going to become the voice of the voiceless.
Yes.
Voice of the
Yes.
voiceless. And
I
what you
like how
say
you
is
said
so
that.
true. Because even some of the celebrities that we hear commit suicide, we say, but what happened? The person looks so jovial, they're always
Hmm.
happy, they're always
Hmm.
smiling, and you know, you're in disbelief. But as you clearly say, we don't see the pain, we don't see the struggle. It's just a mask. A mask.
Yes. It's a
Mm.
mask. That's exactly what it is, which is why it's so important for us to be self-aware within ourselves first
Mhm.
and foremost.
Mhm.
Because then once we are sure and we understand ourselves and our emotions, then we're able to identify it in other people and start to be able to create safety to
Right.
ask people, are you okay? Hey, I went
Mhm.
through some really dark times. And that's when they start to say, oh, well, you know what? So did I, because that's what's been happening.
Mhm.
And it's so important that we create an environment of safety for everybody to start being open and honest about not being okay, because we don't have to hide it, because society makes us think that we have to be strong all the time. And here's the thing about admitting that you struggle with mental and emotional issues, is that it's so strong and powerful to be able to admit that and embrace
Mhm.
that. It takes a
Mhm.
very strong person to be able to battle the thoughts in their head and to tell their brain that what you're telling me is not true. It
Mhm.
takes a
Mhm.
strong person to be able to listen to their heart and not their mind. Heart
Right.
teach my
Right.
mind is what I had to learn.
Yeah. And I think when we ask people how are you, we need to just not say just out of being polite, but we really need to say how are you and stop to listen
Hmm.
and to find out how are you really doing,
Yes.
as opposed to just how are you and just keep it moving. You don't even
Hmm.
stop to hear what the person has to say. Yeah, we need to
That's true.
ask that because our men are in trouble with this mental illness. Also, we're losing too many of our brothers,
Yes.
our sons, our husbands
Especially.
to mental illness. So we really need to stop and take the time to listen to what somebody's going through. We might not help them, be able to help them, but at least you got a
They know
chance
that
to
they're not
listen.
alone.
They're not
Yeah.
alone. Yeah, yeah. So how has your perspective on life and the challenges changed you over the past 5 years? How have you changed with you know your
Do you
perspective of
know,
life?
sharing my story was really hard at first. I was
Mhm.
ashamed. I was very embarrassed by what had happened 5 years ago. I didn't want anybody
Mhm.
to know. But as I was healing, I started feeling better and understanding that what I went through was something I needed to go through. And I started sharing more about it. I would share about it on my socials, and I started celebrating the fact that I'm alive today and I'm grateful for it. So I started learning that my struggles were really just lessons for me to learn so that I can become stronger and become this
Mhm.
me that I am today. Had I not went through that 5 years ago, I wouldn't have the courage to be vulnerable today and to feel safe enough within
Mhm.
myself to share my story to help and inspire others. Because the
Mhm.
impact on me has been so profound as a result of sharing my story with other people and being a beacon of hope, because I've shared my story with people in outpatient settings, those that are still trying to
Right.
rebuild after a setback. And I let them know that I was exactly where you were. And it won't be that way forever. You have got to just take it one day at a time. And it wasn't easy. It was very hard
Mhm.
as I
Mhm.
share in Healing Out Loud, especially when I did separate from my husband. I had to rebuild not only as a single woman, but also as a woman who has experienced very traumatic experience of a suicide attempt. And I don't feel safe enough in myself because I think I can probably do it again because nobody is here to stop me now. And nobody will know because I'm all alone. It's the story I kept telling myself. So I
Mhm.
had to see that all my setbacks were just all opportunities and foundations for me to grow and become this me that you see today. So let me help somebody else see that what they're going through right now is going to make them a stronger, better person, but we got to go through it and not give up. It's not a time to check out, it's the time to check in and check in with
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm. And when I interview persons, and especially persons who have some very serious struggle, when you realize the gift that was in them, what God had in them to pour out, you can see why the devil was fighting them, because they can make so much an impact, right?
Yeah.
So that's why and your situation is one where you can say, guess what? I was in that dark, deep place. I was in despair. I was in a place where I wanted to take my life. But
Yeah,
guess what? The sun will come out tomorrow.
it will.
See, it's shining on me.
That's right.
It's shining on me. That's
Absolutely.
beautiful,
Thank
eh?
you. It is. You're right. We have
Yeah.
to have darkness in order to see the light. We have to
Yes.
have some bad in order to really appreciate those good moments.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what life
Yes.
is.
Like, I, like when I get up in the morning, I always say, "Thank you, Lord, for waking me up this
Me
morning. Thank you
too.
for giving me a sound mind and a sound body. Don't take anything for granted."
That's right.
Yes. Yes. So, what role did faith and spirituality play in your healing journey?
I'm so sorry. Do you hear my dog barking? My doorbell just rang and now the dog is barking. Lord. Okay, Ali. I'm sorry. Can I answer the door? I am so sorry.
Yeah, go.
One
I can
second.
probably ask you to cut it out first. Okay.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Hi. Is that for me? Oh, the rest of it. Oh, you have no order? Okay, you can just take care. Thank you. I know all day about my order and how they want to deliver. Okay.
All right. What I normally do, that sometimes people don't read English. What I normally do, I normally put on my door, do not knock, do not ring bell,
Mm-hmm.
ring doorbell, recording in session. That's what I
Right.
normally do.
So sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll ask the person to cut it. They can probably cut it out. You probably should say, where am I? 20 points. Let me make a note of it. 20.09. Okay. Okay. I could ask him to put it. Yes, as we were talking about what role does faith or did faith and spirituality play in your healing journey?
Say that question one more time. You said what was.
What role does faith and spirituality play in your healing process, in your healing
So
journey?
spirituality is extremely important in my healing journey. That was the piece that really propelled me to make a shift in
Mhm.
my healing process. When I joined the 12-step program of Emotions Anonymous, that was one of the early steps is I had to admit that I was powerless to
Mhm.
my emotions and that a spirit greater than myself can restore me to sanity. I had to
Mhm.
admit that I couldn't do this alone because my way wasn't working. So I
Mhm.
have to have a faith in something. I have to have a higher power. And when I made that step and committed to that step and realized that no, I wasn't praying, I was not connected with my higher power when I was in my lowest moments because I wasn't connected with myself. Spirit, God is all within us. And when I started checking out and started giving up on myself, is when I started disconnecting from myself, connecting from
Mhm.
God. And
Mhm.
when I started reconnecting with Spirit, that's when I truly started transforming. Started practicing gratitude. I started appreciating all the wonderful things that God has given me, the people, the abundance, the blessings. It's not
Mhm.
perfect, but I have so much to live
Mhm.
for and so much to be grateful for. And without that, I could not do this. I wouldn't be here today. It's God that gave me the gift to be able to share my story.
Mhm.
And He gave me the story, gave me this lesson so that I can now teach it to others.
Mhm. Well, from my experience, I always find that is when in your brokenness, that's where you always find God, in your brokenness. I remember there was I can't remember what's the name of it, but oh, I think it's called Footprints in the Sand, where the person is saying, you know, my God, why did you forsake me? When I look in the sand, I only see one. You know, when I was at my lowest of lowest, I only saw one set of footprints in the sand. And God said, "But my child, that is the time I was
That's right.
holding you and
That's
taking
right.
you."
Yep.
Yes, beautiful, eh?
Absolutely.
Yes. So, can you describe a particular difficult moment during your healing journey and how you overcame it? Was there any particular?
Oh,
Um.
there were several moments.
Okay.
I remember right after my attempt was in April of 2019. I moved into my apartment in September of 19, and it was
Mhm.
Labor Day weekend. And I just remember being in this place thinking, I don't want to be here. This is
Mhm.
not a home. I don't want this situation. And I would go to work, come home, and I would just
Mhm.
lay in bed.
Mhm.
And one weekend, I stayed in bed the entire weekend, 3 days
Mhm.
straight, turned my phone off, and nobody was able to get in touch with me. So naturally, people are worried. But in my brain, I'm not even thinking about that because all I know is I'm not happy and I'm just trying not to do anything to end my life right now. So, right now, the only thing that feels good is just being in this bed, not talking and
Mhm.
not doing anything. Gratefully, I have a good support system. They sent the police here to do a well-being check because I needed it. And that was a moment for me where I ended up back in the hospital 4 months after my first attempt. And that time I was, oh my goodness, I was so upset. It was so uncomfortable. The hospital beds were different. It was cold. I was so uncomfortable. And the
Mhm.
only thing that I could ask myself is, why are you here? Because you
Right.
don't even need to be here right now. If you would just do the thing that you know you need to do, you don't have to keep going through this.
Mhm.
And it was
Mhm.
that moment that I said, I got to change. I don't want to ever come through this hospital and go through this experience ever again, because I know better. I know I don't want to die. I know I have reasons to live, but today it's just too hard and I don't want to try.
Mhm.
So I have to be
Mhm.
honest with myself and say,
Right.
how bad do I want it?
Mhm.
How much am I worth fighting for?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm worth
Mhm.
it.
Mm. That's deep. That's deep. So, what are some of the common misconceptions and about mental health and suicide that you aim to dispel through your book and your work?
So, so one of the biggest misconceptions that I do address in my book is that you can look at people and
Mhm.
see that they're suffering or struggling. That's not true, because
Mhm.
like I said, for me, you would have never known, because I would put on this face every day, but on the inside, I'm struggling. I am
Mhm.
suffering, and I do want somebody to see me, because I
Mhm.
don't want to tell you because I don't want to feel like a burden, but I really do need help. And also, the other misconception that I want to address is talking about suicide is going to make someone commit the act. And that's also not true, because what most people fail to understand is when a person who has an attempt, that's not their first time with the thought. And
Mm.
it's not there's not an action that they come to lightly. It's a thought that has been there, but it was something that occurred that just made it say, this is the moment. I can't fight anymore. It's the
Mhm.
straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So that's why it's so important that we start asking directly and start being aware of what it looks like. That's the other thing I also want to talk about and I address in my book, is little subtle things that people are doing
Mhm.
right in front of us that we may not know, that are all red flags and signs to let you know that a person is strongly considering attempting suicide.
This is so important because even with our children, oh my gosh, the bullying and the
Yeah.
technology has become the stones. You remember in the
Yes.
old and in Christ time they used to stone people. Technology
Yes.
has become the stones.
True.
The bully people behind this technology say all kind of
That's
things that
true.
don't necessarily have to be true, especially with the children. So we have to be mindful of our kids also, and when we see any
Definitely.
change in them, because they are sensitive. They don't want to tell us too much, and so especially for them, we need to be sensitive for them. So I'm sure this book would help a
Thank
lot
you.
of persons, not just adults, but people who have
Especially.
children, that you have to take care of. Yes, so that's good. So how do you maintain your mental health and well-being on a daily basis? How do you do
For
that?
me, I do a lot of praying and meditating. The moment I wake up in the morning,
Mhm.
I start by thanking my Most High for three things. And first being that I woke up, and I meditate and I set my intention for the day
Mhm.
and say that this is going to be an amazing day because I'm
Mhm.
going to show up and live on purpose today and do what I love to do, and
Right.
that's sharing my story and helping and empowering other people. So that's one thing that I do.
Mhm.
And I allow myself time to rest. I know we deal with so much.
Right.
The average American, 30 to 40-year olds, even younger, all we know is go, 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 go. I'll rest when I die. And that's the thing. You have to allow your body to rest. The body will sit you down if you don't
Yes.
listen to it. So now I make
Oh
sure
yes, it will.
that I pay attention to my body, because the body always keeps score. So if my body is not right, my mind is not going to be right, my heart is not going to be right. So when I'm feeling drained and exhausted, I can't be my best self. So I make sure to dedicate time to rest, where I don't talk, I don't do anything but just be with myself. I journal, I reflect, and I laugh. I do things that bring me joy.
Mhm.
I love being outside in nature, just enjoying the fresh air. I love writing. I always love writing and just connecting with people, doing things that make me
Mhm.
happy, that bring me fulfillment.
Mhm. Mhm. So, what what advice would you give someone who is currently struggling with thoughts of suicide?
Well, first
What advice would
I
you
would
give them?
tell them that you are not
Mhm.
alone. And I know that what you're experiencing right now may seem like the worst thing in the world, but I assure you that it's not. And this world needs you. You are worth life and you are
Mhm.
worth living, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay,
Mhm.
because as long as you still got breath in your body, you can do something different to get out of that situation. You don't have to be stuck there. And know that you can ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. And you're not crazy for feeling the way that you feel. You are just a spirit having a human experience, going through a difficult time. But I'm here
Mhm.
to let you know that you are strong. You are so resilient and so loved. And you have a gift and a unique quality about you that this world needs. Don't cheat us out of that. We need you. This world needs you. I need you. I love you. And I don't want you to give up on yourself, because you're worth living and you're worth fighting for. And just put your hand on your heart. And as long as you can feel that heartbeat, then know that you have everything you
Mhm.
need inside of you. Don't let anything or anybody else
That's so
tell
good.
you otherwise, because you know who you are at your core. And the things that happen to you are just
Right.
stories. They are not who you are. Your mistakes, those lessons don't define you. You define you. So you don't give up on you.
Mhm.
Keep going and know that you're not alone. There's so much support. We have
Mhm.
the crisis hotline number. You can contact the 988 number for support. Even if you don't want to talk to anybody close to you, you can get anonymous support. But just get support and just keep going. Keep going, keep going,
Mhm.
keep going. I promise it's going to get better if you make the conscious effort to say, I
Mhm.
am willing to try just for today.
So how do you handle relapses? Because as you correctly say, it's not linear. I mean, it's not just a straight line from where you are to get where you need to go. Sometimes there can be bumps, there can be hills, there can be valleys. How do you handle relapses or setback? And the second part of the question, what advice would you give someone who's actually going through any of these two situations?
Setbacks would really, really make me uncomfortable. I would panic whenever I would have a setback. If I would
Mhm.
wake up and I wasn't having a good day, or I wasn't feeling happy, I would get very nervous, because I thought I was going to go
Mhm.
backwards and end up being in a
Mhm.
suicidal state of mind. But setbacks are
Mhm.
just lifing, because we're not going to
Mhm.
always have good days, or we're not going to always have good moments in each day. So be patient. I had to learn
Mhm.
to be patient with myself and realize that it's just a moment, it's not a lifetime. And ask yourself, why am I feeling like this? That was the thing that I really needed to
Mhm.
understand, is when I'm feeling powerless to my emotions, there's something deeper that my heart is trying to get me to see, and something that God is trying to get me
Mhm.
to address and understand. So I had to
Mhm.
learn to be patient with
Mhm.
myself, and to allow myself to
Mhm.
feel my feelings and my emotions without judgment. Because once I started judging
Right.
myself, then the guilt started coming, and then the anxiety, and now I'm down to
Mhm.
this downward spiral. I'm going down a rabbit hole again. And I just had to learn to be
Mhm.
present. Get present. Just focus on what you're feeling right now in this moment. Don't worry about what happened the last time, and don't
Mhm.
worry about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. All I can focus on is just this moment. So to anyone that's experiencing the same thing, that's feeling like they're having setbacks, be gentle with yourself. Be kind, because you're human.
Mhm.
Every day won't be
Mhm.
perfect, but you have
Mhm.
everything in you to get through the hump and get through the setback. So be patient, allow yourself to feel, heal, and then move on. It won't end. You have coping
Right. Right.
mechanisms. And for me, I have a
Mhm.
support system. I have my sponsor. I have my higher power. I have everything in me, because
Mhm.
I got my higher power. God
Mhm.
is in me. So I know I have everything in me. And I just allow myself to feel it.
Mhm. Yeah. So In your book, do you address any possible signs or things that we can use to identify someone who's actually having a struggle but isn't saying anything?
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to also make sure that I educated my readers because there are things that we don't
Mhm.
even recognize or they don't often talk about. For example, with
Mhm.
me, I was depressed for years, not realizing that I was depressed, but I stayed in bed all weekend, stayed in bed, just laid in bed. And those are things that we don't recognize. And to the average person, is, oh, they're just lazy. But there's
Mhm.
something else going on because why don't they have the desire to get up out the bed and live and show up today? Those are little things that I would encourage my readers to just be cognizant of with their loved ones, especially if you're in a relationship. Pay attention to those things in your children when they start to withdraw and they start to isolate and you start to notice them not
Mhm.
doing things that they used to enjoy. So for me, I love being around friends and family. I love being around community. But the minute I started
Mhm.
not wanting to see my friends is when one of my friends said she did notice the change, but she didn't realize how detrimental it was. But it's those little subtle things that we have to just kind of be aware of, not only in ourselves, but also
Mhm.
to the people that we care about. And then when you notice them,
Right.
how to approach it. And that's also what I talk about in my book, because especially in the African American
Mhm.
culture, we are so tough because we had to, because of our the way we were raised, the previous generations, and I know we've gone through a
Yes,
lot.
it's true.
But in 2024, I want to create a new story where my family, my son, and even my elders can all admit that yes, I have experienced some things that I'm holding on to. And yes, I probably was depressed. And this is why I've been self medicating with
Mhm.
alcohol and drugs. But I'm here to let them know I see you, family, and I love you, and we're going to get through this. We got to first recognize it.
Mhm.
We can't judge, we can't name call, and we got to stop assuming and get curious. Ask, find out because I know personally, I come from a family where we will gossip and we will assume and we will place a label without even asking what is wrong with them. We don't even know, and we are quick to call somebody the black sheep in the family, and we should not do that. We need to love and support our people because that's what we're here to do first and foremost. And we're a family. I would never judge somebody that's struggling, just like you would never kick somebody who's had a heart attack and a stroke. You don't kick anybody that's having a mental and emotional episode that they are feeling powerless to. Support them, hold space for them to be able to share, even if you don't even understand it for yourself. Hold space, ask questions, and just ask them, what do you need from me? Even if you can't do anything else, what is it that I can do for you? That's the best thing you can do for someone who's in that space.
Mhm. Mhm. It's interesting to say about people of color because I can say that for the Caribbean people also, people from
Yeah,
Caribbean islands, they don't like this
I
psychiatrist
know.
thing and this.
I know.
They shut it. They
I
don't want to
get it.
go. They don't
I
want to,
get that.
But we have, as you said, we have to educate people that there are resources, and there's no
No.
shame. There's no shame. There's no shame. But I said the whole socialization, where you come from and what you've been taught,
Yes.
if you have mental things, people can say nothing no wrong with
Yep.
you.
Hold it
You're all
in.
right. You need
Don't tell anybody.
the boy that's
Yes.
bad, the girl that's bad,
Yes.
whatever the
That's
case
it.
is.
Oh, you'll be all right. That's not
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Toughen
Yeah.
up.
No, that's the last thing you need to tell them.
Yeah, that's what goes
Mm,
on. So I'm glad that your book
thank
is
you.
going to be out and people really can realize that other people have gone through it, and guess what? Doing all
Yeah.
these things will get you to the place where you need to be
Okay.
back in your own, and fulfill what God has given you to do. Because all of us
We
come with a
do.
purpose.
We
Every
do.
single one of us, even the people that you don't care
Yes.
for, they have a purpose. Sometimes the purpose is to make sure you get to
That
your
part.
purpose.
Absolutely. And that's what we have to learn. And that's what I had to see. Everybody that I come in contact with, anybody that I've ever had a
Mhm.
relationship with, they all served a purpose. They were essentially all reflections of who I
Mhm.
was at that moment in my life. Like my husband, he came into my life when I was in
Mhm.
college. We had been together for so
Mhm.
long. I had grown so much. So by the time we went our separate
Mhm.
ways, he and I were no longer the same people. But to me, I thought it was the
Mhm.
end of the world because I'm like, I can't find another man and another husband. I'm 35 with a son and I'm a bad woman. And oh my goodness, all the stories, all the stories.
Okay. Which mirror have you been
What
looking
mirror was
into?
I looking into? Then I don't know that mirror. I don't know what mirror I was looking into. I wasn't even looking in the mirror. I think at that point, I didn't even want to see myself. I couldn't see myself.
Oh goodness. Mhm. Yes, yes, yes. The devil is a
Hmm.
liar, The devil is a liar. Okay, can you discuss any um upcoming projects or initiatives you're working on in the future to support your healing journey?
Yeah. So, in addition to my
Mhm.
book coming out, I'm also doing speaking. I'm doing a lot of motivational speaking, which has been really
Mhm.
impactful, not only for my healing journey. The more I share, the more I heal, but also the
Mhm.
transformation that my story will bring for people. Because my mission is to save
Mhm.
lives, to touch souls with my words, so that people can see that they have
Mhm.
everything in them to make a difference, even if it's not so much as your mental health or your emotional health. There's something that you are desiring to do that's holding you back. And in addition to my book and my story, I also am a coach and I do group coaching. I've created online courses, and actually, I'm in the process of launching that in September, right along with my book, in which I will create a developing supportive space and network for other people to be able to share and to understand that there's safety in numbers. And we need to know that a community of us doing this work together is so powerful. So I will be creating a
Mhm.
community space as well as one-on-one coaching and continuing to share my story. And eventually I will be starting a YouTube channel where I will also be able to share other stories of others that have experienced the same.
Okay. That's exciting stuff
Thank
ahead
you.
there. Awesome. Yes. So how do you stay motivated and inspired in your mission? How do you stay motivated and
How do I
inspired?
stay motivated? Living in my purpose,
Mhm.
waking up on purpose. I
Mhm.
wake up on purpose every morning. I wake up. I no
Mhm.
longer have that pit in my stomach like I used to, this anxiety, this heaviness. I don't wake up like that anymore. So I get inspired
Right.
knowing that everything I'm doing is because my higher power is guiding me to. I ask God, what is it that I need to accomplish in this day? Send me the tools, the people, the
Mhm.
resources, the things that I need to do to serve people today, to
Mhm.
serve you, because this is bigger than me. This is about me doing the work to help others. So that keeps me motivated. That keeps me inspired.
Right.
And as long as I keep that faith and continue to stay grounded in God, then I'm going to continue sharing my story. And then when I hear other people share how me speaking to them has impacted their lives, that is what gets me motivated.
So do you have any? Yes, as you touched on that, do you have any major, not really major, any success story that you'd like to share with us about how you motivated someone, or how your skills that you have now
Yeah.
uh, used?
Yep, I
Yeah.
do actually. So I've actually had a client recently that I've been working with who has done such a wonderful job. She and I have been working for, it's been about 2.5 months now, but I've helped her profoundly with being able to let go of her limiting beliefs about herself and being stuck in a story
Mhm.
of what other people thought of her. The change and the
Mhm.
transformation in her is so inspiring because now she's loving herself more and she's starting to see
Mm.
that she has so many wonderful gifts inside of her that she didn't even know she had. And that's the thing that keeps me going, and that is the my why. That is my reason for doing this.
That's a why. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. What message of hope and encouragement would you like to leave with our listeners who may be struggling with their own mental health? What message of hope and encouragement you want to
Yeah.
leave with them? We're wrapping up soon.
Yes, I would say to anyone going through anything right now, I want you to not give up. Not give up. Please know that you are not alone. And what your struggles are and what you're going through right now, that does not define you. You are a fighter. You have something in you that you need to be doing. Go through this moment,
Hmm.
embrace it, learn from it, and then see how you can turn this story into a positive, because there's endless possibilities to life. And in any given situation, it's up to us to determine which choice, which direction we're going to go in. So continue utilizing that strength, because there's definitely light ahead. Don't give up. You are not alone. And ask for help and be patient. Take it 1 minute at a
Right.
time,
One day at a
one day at a
time.
time.
I, I always tell people that's why the Lord Prayer says, "Give us our daily bread." He didn't say to give you the whole
That
loaf of
part.
bread.
Daily bread. Absolutely. You got to feed yourself day by day. You're right.
Day by
Absolutely.
day, daily bread, daily bread. I always
Indeed.
say that, daily bread. Yes. So it's been really
Thank you.
wonderful. So for those of you who want to dive deeper in Kiana's story and gain valuable tools, be sure to check out her book when it's released. Thank you, Kiana, for sharing your journey with us today and for the important work you do in empowering others.
Thank you.
To our listeners, remember that you are not alone and there is always, 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 always hope. Stay strong, stay connected, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care and be well. Kiana, would you mind sharing how persons can contact you and when your book is going to come out and little things like that? And you can probably send me after this email or and I'll put it
Okay.
in the notes for the
Yeah.
podcast.
Sure. You can follow me on my Instagram at I am Kiana Shatteen Empowerment. Facebook, Kiana Washington, or KS Empowerment is my business page. My book is actually
Hmm.
on sale now. I'm doing pre-orders, so the first 150 copies, I
Oh,
will
really?
be personally signing those, and the book will be officially released in September during Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So I will be
Right,
doing book
right, right.
signings, doing speaking. I will be on the radio, doing more podcasts, sharing my story, inspiring the
Hmm.
masses.
All right. Thank you
Thank
for that.
you.
So, thank you. Modern Titus Woman again, bringing informative and life changing information. So, until next time, walk good.
Bye.
Right, so, we're wrapping up here. I'm, I'm going to stop the recording.